Welcome to Faith on the Force, the podcast bringing attention to the issues law enforcement officers around the country face on a daily basis. Families, relationships, mental health, community relations. Faith on the Force helps officers overcome stressful situations. Now, here's Michael McSellers.
Welcome to episode number 2 of Faith on the Force. I'm your host, Michael McSellers, a fellow brother in blue. And today we're going to talk about a very sensitive and important topic, law enforcement suicide. And you might not be aware, but officers are 2 to 3 times more likely to die by their own hand than killed by a murder suspect. The average age is 42. 16 years on a job is the average years of service, and 91% of those are men, and 63% of that number are single. As officers, we deal with a lot of the mental, the emotional trauma from the job, but guess what? We're not the only ones affected. Family members are affected just as much by the things we see, by the things we experience. And like I said, once again, we're talking about today's suicide in law enforcement. And there are families that are truly affected by this, and they will be affected by this for the rest of their life. And I'm so excited today that we have a special guest, Heidi Peterson, who's a dear friend of mine who knows exactly what it means and how it feels to deal with this very sensitive topic in her own life. Heidi, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Michael.
As you know, Heidi, suicide is the number one death for law enforcement. And, a lot of times we don't talk about these issues because it's so sensitive. It creates and brings a lot of stigma to it. Heidi, share some of your experiences with what you've dealt with since losing Jesse.
I had no idea before this became my family's reality, the large number of officers that were dying by suicide every year. I was ignorant to it myself. When my husband became a statistic in it, it definitely changed our world and opened my eyes up to the great need for change in law enforcement and changing fundamentally how we train these officers. I lost my husband on October 20th, 2016. We're just about a year out, and I have 4 children, and having to tell my children, Daddy is dead, was the worst day of my life. I've been continually hurt by the lack of support that I've received from the sheriff's office, from his family, from his friends, but also empathetic to that they just don't understand it. And we need to teach people about this, quit blaming the ones who are surviving and shunning the ones who are gone for being gone. We need to talk about it.
I totally agree with what you're saying. I experienced that myself. As you guys may not have known, I lost a coworker on Easter Sunday, a dear friend of mine, a brother in blue, a brother I've known personally for 10 years, to suicide. And it rocked me. It rocked our office. And it was like Heidi said, one of those things where it was kind of swept under the rug per se, and as if it didn't exist. And, and I've seen and noticed that a lot of times, and Heidi, you can jump on this as well, is that the significant others, they carry a lot of burden, because in law enforcement, when things like this happens, a lot of times, just because of the way the profession is made, the burden is kind of placed on the family, or sort of blame, as if the family can cause these issues.
Absolutely. I mean, in the first 10 hours after my husband's suicide, I received a phone call from a very close friend of his that he's known since he was in kindergarten. And he said, "What did you say to him that would have made him do this?" And that was my first eye-opening experience that, holy cow, this is going to be put on me. I've kind of explained it to people where, well, if he would have, not that he would have, but if he had broken some sort of law, like caught a DUI and was in jail, would I be to blame because he drank and then went to jail? I mean, he did it, but yet the blame is put on the family. What did the wife do? What did the girlfriend do? Or what did the husband or boyfriend do, depending on the situation? And instead of asking what do you need, it's just, well, why did he do it? As if there is any sort of reasonable explanation. I, as his wife, could provide anybody that would justify this man leaving behind 4 children and turning me into a widow. For everybody else, this is a story. I don't care if it's Jesse's aunt or sister or whoever it may be. This is a story in their life. They don't have any interaction with us day to day. This is my reality. I live this every single day. I have 4 children that are constantly in need of shoes, constantly in need of, food, almost shoes more than food. And on top of that, I have just the whispers. And just 2 days ago, I had someone message me and say, hey, so-and-so blamed me for it. I'm like, this is just insane. I don't understand why we're doing this. And no honor for him, no honor for his 17 years of service. We have officers that die in the line of duty every single day in non-homicidal incidences that are honored, which they should be. I'm not saying they shouldn't. I believe any officer that is serving, no matter how they pass away, should be honored for their service. But because his suicide makes people uncomfortable, we don't talk about it, and what makes the outsiders comfortable is shaming us. Jesse's no more dead after being shamed than he was before they shamed me, so I don't understand what they get from it. I don't know how it makes them feel any better to treat my children or me like dirt. But the only thing we can do is educate people and keep talking about it, and for myself and my family, grow from it. I have told people with no shame that this experience has empowered me. It's empowered me to stand tall for my children, because, as a father, our kids are looking up to us every single day and hoping that we give them the right way in life. And they're going to act like we act for the most part, which could be bad and good. But my kids are doing so well right now because I'm doing so well, and I'm refusing to allow the negativity out there to destroy us. The part that hurts the most, though, is explaining a lot of this to my kids. The day of my husband's funeral, several deputies came up to my children that at the time were 10, 8, 5, and 3, and told them that even though your dad is gone, you have a dad and all of us here at the sheriff's office. This is the 11th month, and we have not received one phone call, not one, from any deputy or even the sheriff that he worked for to check on how my children were doing or how I was doing. Not one, not a letter, nothing. And I had asked my daughter, who is now 9, I said, if you could say one thing to these deputies, what would it be? And she said, you lied. And trying to explain adult behavior to small children, it is one of the most difficult things. And it's every day. Well, why do they act like this? I don't know. I don't know why adults do what they do, but we're going to be okay, and we're going to grow from this. We're not going to allow how other people treat us dictate how we're going to live our life.
For a family that's listening right now, that's dealing with this right now, how would you encourage them, a wife who maybe just experiencing this situation, a husband, they might have lost his wife the same way. How would you encourage them through this process that they're going through?
First off, I would say if somebody's not going to help you carry this load, shut them out. It hurts so bad to no longer feel like you're part of that blue line family, because it does become part of your family's identity. It absolutely does. But if there's anybody that is going to whisper behind your back or say negative things, shut them out. They're not worth it. It was the healthiest thing that I did. Second off, try to let go of your shame. I know we all carry shame and guilt and the ifs and the whys. Try your hardest to get to that point where you can just stop saying those or asking those, because it's not going to do you any good. Reach out. I know plenty of law enforcement widows from suicide that are willing to talk to you. We're all here. We're all in the same boat. Whatever you may think could be an odd situation, we've heard it all. It's disgusting that we are all part of this and have to band together and go, we don't have the support, but we're here. You have support, just maybe not from the people you thought you would have had support from. But there's a whole nother group of us out there, and flock to us. We'll help you. So just reach out to us on honorthem.net or go to the Honor Them Facebook page and reach out. And if you're a law enforcement widow, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry you are part of this group. It's horrible, but we got your back.
Heidi, thank you so much for your time. I'm so excited that I get to partner with you on this very sensitive topic. And I just want you to know that I support you and I'm with you.
Thank you so much, Michael.
If you're listening and you're in a position of leadership in law enforcement and you heard the pain and hurt from her voice, her talking about the lack of support she felt from the agency. If you're in a position like that, unfortunately, if you ever experienced a tragic situation of losing an officer in that capacity, please make sure you attend to the family and reach out to them. They really need you, really at this dark moment that they're experiencing. They really need you. And I'd like to leave you too with something else, a little word of encouragement that I was reminded when I was going through my struggles. And it's in Psalms 34 and it's in verse 17. And it says, the righteous cry out and the Lord hears them. He delivers them from all of their troubles. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and save those who are crushed in spirit. So just know that as you go through, the Lord truly understands what you're going through. Don't be afraid to cry out to him. He is there. He knows exactly what you need and he'll get you through.
Once again, I want to thank you for inviting me into your cruisers, into your homes, into your families. And once again, thank you as always for listening. This is Faith on the Force.
Thank you for listening to Faith on the Force with Michael McSellers. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and tell a friend.